Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name is Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is February 24th, 2026. And this is a corrective rally. This is a subject I touched on in the previous video. I'm going to talk about where I believe Bitcoin will go based off of that understanding, based off of that information, and where I think altcoins are going to go. All right, things are going to look very interesting. If I'm correct, things are going to look extremely interesting for altcoins, but it's not going to be what most people think. So if all that sounds interesting to you, then watch till the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with Bitcoin on the 4-hourly time frame. My targets for this phase of the corrective rally still stands as being the top of this right here, the top of this entire sequence of price action, right? This is still resistance up here, and it doesn't seem as if we're finished retesting these lows, and I'm gonna tell you why. And this is subtle, and I've never ever in many years doing technical analysis, I've never seen a retracement that doesn't either respect the 074 or pass it and hit the 786. There are no in-betweens, right? And let me show you what I'm talking about. So, and this is subtle, but I'm very confident in this, what I'm going to say right now. Look at this. So if you pull your Fibonacci from the bottom of the February 5th low to the top, and I would consider this right here, this 71,390, as my orthodox high. Basically, it's the top of this corrective sequence, yeah? You can see here, I'll show you, let me zoom in. You can see here that the 0786 Fibonacci retracement level has not been hit yet. And one would believe, I guess if you do this casually, or if you've never really paid attention to these things that carefully, you would say, well, it's close enough. Must be it, right? No. And the only thing is, the question is, did I pull that orthodox high? Basically, did I pull this range correctly? Because in order to pull the range, you have to calculate the orthodox low and the orthodox high. Orthodox high is basically where the beginning of the correction begins, okay? And that sets the range. You could say, oh, maybe I chose wrong, and so let me be a little more generous and pull it up. Maybe this is the orthodox high, which is, it's not. Or this, even, the orthodox high. Any way you slice it, it's just shy of the 0786. This is why I'm saying I'm quite confident that price is going to do something whereby it comes to range high and then comes all the way back down and really decisively grabs the liquidity in this region. That has yet to be done, okay? And so this right there, that right there rather, is my short-term trade thesis for Bitcoin, right? I do expect Bitcoin to come right back up to range high around 72, 73, and come all the way back down, because we're not yet done, okay? Once that liquidity capture happens, okay, then you can expect a test of the higher time frame range, which is, right, if you look on a higher time frame, the trade plan is still the same. On a higher time frame, these are the beginnings of a larger corrective pattern, which would have Bitcoin come into the hundreds, right? Retest these levels, but not quite yet. You have yet to complete this corrective pattern, and it's gonna look something like that. So essentially, on the smaller time frames, don't be surprised if Bitcoin gives you what many call a fake out or some manipulative move, but it's not. It's clear. This isn't a corrective base. Sorry, I don't have my pen today. I ran out of batteries. I don't have quadruple A batteries, so I'm using the mouse as the pen, which is why my drawings are extra bad today. In any case, you can see here, this entire thing is a flat base that has yet to be completed. And I don't believe that this is the completed version of it. When it is completed, what you should see is the following. You should see a strong capture of liquidity at these lows, followed by a rush up. It's not going to be a lukewarm thing. It can't be. It has to be. If it's going to be an impulse, if it's going to be a move that's even correctively impulsive, it has to be quick and decisive off of the lows. And that is not this. Yet and still, there are some very interesting things in the altcoin space. This is why Bitcoin's not that interesting right now, because you're just looking at a retracement to the upside of about 13 to 15%. But in the altcoin space, it is a little different. Let's look at altcoins as usual. We're going to use the others chart as an indicator for altcoin price action. And last we spoke, we were around this region. Let me go on the 4-hourly time frame. I'm gonna compare apples to apples here. Last we spoke, we were around here, if I recall, and I said we're likely going to test these range highs before coming back down. We broke down. It seems as if we found some temporary support on the top of this 80-day falling wedge, but the general plan remains. And this is what I said last time, like, even if there is a slight deviation in the how, the what is typically still intact, right? There is no invalidation of the larger trade thesis, which is a move up to range high, a larger move up to the midline, and then an even larger breakout, which is the bona fide altcoin breakout. That is still on the table. That is still intact, okay? And so right here, I'm expecting, so if this was A, all this is B, or sorry, if this is A, because this is the initial break, right? Think of this as being its own A wave, but we're not talking about this, right? We're not talking about this. Let's say we're using alpha, okay? This is alpha. This, or some version of a counter correction, is going to be beta before putting in B. Does that make sense? We're still in the guts, or in the middle corrective sequence over here. Sorry, over here. So whatever you saw here coming down correctively has to now counter and balance out correctively to the upside, and it's likely to hit this target, which is resistance at this level right there. So to me, altcoins in the aggregate in that regard are only putting in a modest 16%. But when I look at specific altcoin charts, it looks much more promising. And already, some of my watch lists assets are up 50% for the day. This is why, like, I know it sounds weird and crazy that the others chart, which is an aggregate indicator for altcoins, right, is showing me that this move may potentially yield only 15 to 17%. How can then some altcoins, as per my best analysis, yield 80 to 100% gains, some 200 to 500% gains, right? It's possible. And don't be surprised if it happens. Now, the thing that's very important to grasp from what's happening right now in altcoins, as interesting as it is that an altcoin's putting up 50% in a day, that, you know, that altcoin in particular that put up 50% today, I measured going around 200 to 300% in that move, in that corrective uptrend. So it's on track already, right? If that's the case, then yay, we're done, we're here. No, we're not. And this is why I keep saying the phrase, the term corrective uptrend. People may not know what that means. That basically means it's not yet over, because the retracement of that correction may be anywhere from 80% to 100% to even more, right? In certain assets that are not bullish, right? So don't, you basically have to be careful to either catch the meat of the move that's happening right now. Okay, it's happening right now. It's not over today. It's not over as I record. It may take a few days, but at the end of this move, if I'm correct, when this makes its way up to this resistance, we should have many altcoins go 80 to 100%, and some 200 to 500%. If you don't know what those targets are, what those limits are, what those highs are, it's very likely to come all the way back down. Okay? And that's frustrating, especially given everything we've been through, right? In the altcoin space, in crypto. Like, crypto's been absolutely impossibly difficult, and it's been uninteresting. And so when an opportunity like this presents itself, it's frustrating not to be able to get anything out of it, right? So yeah, that I spent most of the day fashioning targets for all of the assets that I and my clients are trading, to try and make sure that we catch that move, because it's going to be, and you typically see this in uptrends that follow long periods, extended periods of down and sideways or uninteresting price action. You know, the fear and greed at 5. It's like, you know, finally when something does happen, it goes up and then it comes all the way back down, almost to the point of origin. And actually, let me just illustrate something without showing you specific altcoins, but this is why. It's not because there's some maniacal, like, evil, you know, fat-fingered, you know, corporate guy that's trying to wreck everybody in some boardroom and, you know, on some nice long mahogany desk, just crashing the prices and selling, market selling all of the different assets. No, it's not that. It's because when you see a breakout, you typically get breakouts from these bullish reversal patterns. Typically, it looks like an inverse head and shoulders or something like that, right? It could be inverse head and shoulders, could be W reversal, could be cup and handle. It doesn't matter. The breakout of these bullish reversal patterns typically comes all the way back down to the neckline, and it typically does so in a corrective lap. Okay, that's why. That's why. You can prove this to yourselves, and don't take anybody's word for it. I'm just a guy on the internet. But do your back testing. Backtest this. Backtest that idea. Look at any breakout following a prolonged sideways. When I say prolonged, I mean years long, months long, sideways, down, uninteresting market. You typically have these bullish reversal patterns, and the breakout is usually some version of a flat correction that goes up and comes all the way back down. Basically, in other words, you have a bunch of buyers over here, and then the move happens because there's a supply shock, and now the sellers get a chance to get in on the move, and that's it. Then, after that, you get your breakout. So it's basically the idea where you get a breakout, retest, breakout. A, B, C. It all comes back to, the flavors of three, idea of corrective patterning. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that is typically a flat correction. Most corrective moves sequences are flats. Okay, so that's the short of it. I don't want to divulge too much because, like I said, in crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation, we go over the specific assets and where to sell, or where's next logical resistance, what it can likely do, all that stuff. Also, single asset analysis, I talk about certain things of that nature, but single asset analysis is a bit more tricky because I can't update it, every few days like I do in crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation. I just have to go off of whatever I have at the moment that the order is placed, and I do my best high time frame and small time frame analysis, but I can't really make any edits. Uh, so that's the idea. That's what I'm looking at with altcoins. And so again, if this is true, what we should see is a move down in Bitcoin dominance, right? Because Bitcoin dominance, let's say I'm correct, and a lot of altcoins give you a minimal move corrective uptrend of 80 to 100%. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's only doing 15% or whatever I said. That means Bitcoin dominance has to go down. Okay, and when we look at Bitcoin dominance here, let's go on the daily, we can see that excuse me, it is indeed trending down. Okay, so the Bitcoin dominance is trending down, and on the daily time frame has put in two big red daily candles, right? And our stochastic RSI momentum indicator is crossed bearish on the daily time frame. That is an indication that we may be getting our breakdown, our impulsive breakdown in Bitcoin dominance. Let's actually go back on the daily. And this may be finished. This, however long it is, this channel of 100 plus days may be finished. Okay, so that is the idea, right? If I'm correct, what we're going to see is this Bitcoin dominance come all the way down, okay? And the next logical support for Bitcoin dominance is obviously down here around 54, 55%. All right, so that's it for me, guys. Hope this was helpful, useful. Like, share, and subscribe if you got value. Consider joining my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation, where we go over the specific altcoins, where we can take profit, where we should take profit, all that stuff, risk management, all kinds of, nooks and crannies, how to trade profitably using spot, and how to how to fashion a portfolio using good risk management, all that stuff. So that's Crypto Portfolio Mentorship and Consultation. The link to sign up is the Buy Me a Coffee link that's in the description. I also have, like I said, a single asset analysis. That's for people interested in just my take on one asset and what that's doing, how that's going. And I do my best, small time frame, high time frame analysis. And I have those recorded within 24-hour window. Typically, the turnaround's like 4 to 6 hours. So that single asset analysis, instructions for how to order are also in the description. Last but not least, I have exchange partners that are leverage trading services. They're exchanges, and they're giving people bonuses for signing up with my referral links. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what leverage trading is, you're new to crypto, you don't have a larger trading strategy that involves other things besides leverage trading, then close your ears, forget what I'm saying right now. It doesn't apply to you. But if you're more seasoned, if you know what you're doing, if you know how to use leverage trading profitably, and if you're new to these exchanges that I'm working with, KCEX, Weeks, Femex, then use my referral links for bonuses, and enjoy the bonuses and make money. All right, guys, that's it. Take care. Bye.
Prevalent time slot, I vocalize, too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi, I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest magnanimous. We body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I smile or should I